fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I need to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
The whole world was looking for her.
We would have went to the edge of the earth to find her.
We really had hope. We really did. Because there's a million different scenarios that could play out just the same. Hurt in the wilderness, bad reception, all that stuff.
But it would all end in tragedy.
We're not the same people we were before this happened. There was life before and life after.
Everyone knows this story. When people hear her name, what is it that you want them to think about?
That she wasn't just a victim, she was a person. She was an artist.
She was just always happy and just always lit up a room.
Gabby was a really good person. She really tried to get the best or see the best in people.
She posted a photograph on the 25th of August, 2021. A butterfly mural on the outside wall of a restaurant in Ogden, Utah. Warm colors, natural light, exactly the kind of image she had been sharing all summer. The kind that makes people feel like they are living alongside someone, mile by mile, state by state. It was the last post Gabby Petito would ever make. 2 days later, her mother received a text from her daughter's number. It referred to Gabby's grandfather by his first name, Stan. Nicole Schmidt had never, in 22 years, heard her daughter call him that. Not once, not ever. Nicole knew immediately. That text did not come from Gabby. And somewhere in the state of Wyoming, in the wilderness of Bridger-Teton National Forest, the person who sent it was already driving home, alone, in Gabby's van. This is not just a story about what happened at Spread Creek in the final days of August 2021. This is a story about what was visible the whole time, in the photographs, in the body camera footage, in the texts, and what the people who could have acted on it chose not to do. Stay with me, because this one matters. And before we go any further, if you are not subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Not for numbers. Because Gabby's name deserves to reach as many people as possible, and every subscriber makes that happen. Hit subscribe, and let's get into it. Gabrielle Venora Petito was born on the 19th of March, 1999, in Blue Point, a small, close community on the south shore of Long Island, New York. She was the eldest child, the first across 2 households, after her parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, went their separate ways. Both of them stayed lovingly present in her life. That detail matters. Gabby grew up knowing she was wanted, knowing she was loved, knowing that even when families change shape, the people inside them don't have to disappear. Her mother described her as a spitfire from a very young age, instantly into art. A hippie, Nicole called her, and she meant it as the highest compliment. Gabby painted. She photographed. She had, from an early age, a sense of beauty that found its natural home in the outdoors, in light, in movement, in the need to stop and document the things that were too good to walk past. She attended Bayport Blue Point High School in Bayport, New York. She was in the same school as Brian Christopher Laundrie, though they didn't start dating until after graduation. He had grown up just miles from her, 2 neighborhoods separated by a set of train tracks. Quiet, self-contained. Friends of both families described them the same way. 2 loners who had found each other. In 2017, Gabby moved to Carolina Beach, North Carolina. She worked in a restaurant. She lived on her own for the first time. She applied to community college. She tried things. Then, in early 2019, she made the decision to move to Northport, Florida. Not back to Long Island, but to where Brian's parents, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, had settled. She uprooted her life to be close to him. By July 2020, they were on a hiking trip when Brian got down on one knee. There was no ring, but a firefly landed on Gabby's ring finger at that moment, and they took it as a sign. The universe approving. She always wanted to be a travel blogger. She wanted to show people places they had never seen. She had quit her job, a steady position as a nutritionist, to pursue the van life she had been planning for years. She bought a 2012 Ford Transit Connect, converted it into a livable camper, and built a YouTube channel called Nomadic Static. She was going to document everything. She was going to live the life she had been picturing since she was a girl with a camera and a need to stop and look at things. She was 22 years old. She was exactly where she wanted to be. That is who Gabby Petito was before the summer of 2021 consumed everything else. Late June 2021, Gabby and Brian hit the road. The photographs came almost immediately. Through July, her Instagram told the story she had always imagined telling. Monument Rocks, Great Sand Dunes National Park, Zion, Bryce Canyon, Mystic Hot Springs. She tagged every stop. Her face was in all of them. Hundreds of thousands of people were watching, living it alongside her, mile by mile, filter by filter. Behind the photographs, Gabby was telling her family something different. By phone, she described small arguments between them. The kind that happen when two people spend weeks together in a vehicle the size of a small room. She played it down. She was Gabby. She was trying to make it work. Then came the 12th of August. A witness named Chris was driving past the Moonflower Community Cooperative in Moab, Utah, when he saw a couple arguing outside. He called 911. We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. Officers from the Moab City Police Department caught up with the white Ford Transit near the entrance to Arches National Park. Gabby was in the passenger seat. She was already crying. The body camera footage from officers Eric Pratt and Daniel Robbins ran for more than 77 minutes. Gabby sat in the back of the patrol vehicle the whole time. She could not finish a sentence without stopping to wipe her eyes. So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. Did he hit you though? I guess yeah, but I just kind of... Where did he hit you? He didn't hit me in the face. He grabbed me with his nail and I just was fighting. I definitely have a cut right here. She was protecting him. Sitting in the back of a police car with a burning mark on her cheek, and she was protecting him. Brian Laundrie stood outside the van, calm. He had scratches on his face and arms, he told police. He said he had pushed her away because she had a cell phone in her hand. He said he loved her and did not want either of them charged. After reviewing the situation, officers Pratt and Robbins did not classify the incident as domestic assault. They labeled it a mental and emotional health break. No charges were filed. No citation was issued. Brian was driven to a Moab hotel for the night, while Gabby kept the van. The incident report listed Brian Laundrie as the victim, and Gabby Petito as the suspect. Here is where I need to stop and stay on this for a moment, because there is something in the body camera footage from that afternoon that I cannot move past. Something that was said by one of the officers himself, before he made his decision. Officer Pratt is heard saying this to his partner. How far do you want to go with this? You know why the domestic assault code is there? It's there to protect people. Too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just want him to stop, and they don't want to have to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail. And then they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed. He said that, on his own camera, on the afternoon of the 12th of August, 2021. And then he classified the incident as a mental health matter. This is what I want you to understand about that moment. He did not forget the rule. He was not confused about what the code was for. He explained it clearly, correctly, to another officer standing right there on the side of that road. He knew why it existed. He said it with his own mouth. And then he did the opposite anyway. That is not a mistake. That is a choice. And it would prove to be fatal. This is the moment to subscribe to this channel. Not because I'm asking you to, but because if this story is making you feel something right now, there are more stories like this one. Stories that expose the moments where the system had every chance to act and looked away. Subscribe now and make sure you don't miss a single one. The road trip continued after Moab. Gabby posted again. New locations, new light, new horizons. Whatever had happened on the side of that Utah road looked, to the outside world, like it was behind them. On the 24th of August, 2021, Gabby FaceTimed her mother, Nicole Schmidt, from Wyoming. She said she was heading toward Grand Teton National Park, then on to Yellowstone. They talked, they laughed. Nicole heard her daughter's voice. It was the last time she ever would. The following day, Gabby uploaded a photograph to her Instagram. A butterfly mural. Colorful, warm, sun-drenched. It was the last post she would ever make. On the 27th of August, surveillance video from a Whole Foods in Jackson, Wyoming, captured what investigators would later identify as her last known moments alive. She and Brian were seen moving through the store together, then heading out. In the days that followed, 2 text messages arrived on Nicole Schmidt's phone from her daughter's number. The first referred to Gabby's grandfather as Stan. Nicole had never heard her daughter use that name. Not once in 22 years. She knew immediately, but she told herself there was an explanation, that the signal was poor out in the mountains, that Gabby would call soon. 10 days of silence. 10 days of calling and sending messages and telling herself what anyone would tell themselves. 10 days of trying to make it make sense. On the 11th of September, 2021, Nicole Schmidt filed a missing persons report with the Suffolk County Police Department in New York. Her daughter had not been in contact since late August. Her daughter's fiancé had come back to Florida, in Gabby's van, alone. When Northport police went to the Laundrie family home, what they encountered was not a family desperate to help. Northport Police Department. I'm not talking to anybody right now. When was the last time that you saw Brian and Gabrielle? Well, Brian is here. Brian is here. Yeah, and we have an attorney. Brian was inside the house. The van was in the driveway, and his parents had a lawyer on retainer. Nicole Schmidt was still calling her daughter's phone at that exact moment. The people with every answer were 4 words into a conversation before they stopped talking. On the 15th of September, Northport police named Brian Laundrie as a person of interest. The same day, his Ford Mustang was recovered from the car park at Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park in Northport, Florida. Northport Police Chief Todd Garrison stood before reporters. 2 people went on a trip. 1 person returned, and that person that returned isn't providing us any information. On the 18th of September, Brian's parents reported him missing. They said he had left to go hiking at the Carlton Reserve on the 13th. He had been gone for 4 days before anyone said anything. They said it was common for Brian to stay out in the woods. On the 19th of September, law enforcement launched a search of the Carlton Reserve. 25,000 acres of dense Florida wilderness, swampland, snakes, alligators. More than 50 officers from 5 agencies, drones, dive teams, bloodhounds. The reserve gave up nothing. On that same day, the 19th of September, an FBI search team working a remote area of Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming found human remains at the Spread Creek Dispersed camping area. The remains matched Gabby's description. She had been missing for 3 weeks. She had last spoken to her mother 26 days earlier. On the 21st of September, Teton County Coroner Dr. Brent Blue confirmed the identity of the remains as Gabby Petito. He ruled the manner of death a homicide. The full cause of death was confirmed as blunt force injuries to the head and neck, consistent with manual strangulation. She was 22 years old. What the phone records and documented evidence established, piece by piece, was a timeline that told its own story. The 24th of August, Gabby FaceTimed her mother, their last direct contact. The 25th of August, her final Instagram post. The butterfly mural. The 27th of August, a text arrives on Nicole's phone using a name Gabby never used. In the final days of August, before he drove home, Brian called his mother, Roberta. According to documents produced in later civil proceedings, he told her that Gabby was gone. He called his father immediately after to say he needed a lawyer. The Laundrie family made contact with their attorney, Stephen Bertolino. A retainer followed. Between the 30th of August and the 1st of September, Brian Laundrie used Gabby Petito's Capital One debit card to make withdrawals totaling $1,000. The FBI later confirmed these transactions were made without her authorization during his drive back to Florida from Wyoming, in her van, without her. While he was withdrawing money from her account, her mother was still calling her phone, still waiting for an answer, still telling herself there had to be an explanation. On the 1st of September, Brian Laundrie arrived at his parents' home in Northport, Florida. When Northport police contacted him to assist in finding his fiancée, he declined. On the 20th of October, Brian's parents joined law enforcement for a search of the Carlton Reserve. Near the edge of a patch of brambles, they found a white bag. Within hours, FBI Special Agent in Charge Michael McPherson confirmed that investigators had discovered what appeared to be human remains. Alongside them, a backpack, a notebook, and a revolver. The remains were later confirmed through forensic dentistry to belong to Brian Laundrie. He was 23 years old. The cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head. The notebook found beside him contained written statements claiming responsibility for Gabby Petito's death. He wrote that Gabby had suffered an injury during their trip and that he killed her because he believed he was ending her pain. Investigators and medical experts found no evidence supporting that version of events. Gabby's autopsy had already established the truth. Blunt force, strangulation, homicide. The words he chose for himself were, "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful." No trial took place. No arrest for homicide. No formal judgment. The only criminal charge ever filed in connection with her death was the unauthorized use of her debit card. The legal process that Gabby's family had hoped would deliver something close to accountability ended in a Florida swamp. There's something about this case that I keep returning to, and I want to say it plainly. The Moab body camera footage exists. It was filmed. It was reviewed. Officer Pratt stood on that road and explained, in his own words, exactly what the domestic assault code was designed to prevent. He said it clearly. He said it correctly. He said it to another officer who was standing right there. And then he sent Brian to a hotel and listed Gabby as the suspect. I am not inside that decision, and I cannot fully explain it. But I know what was said on camera, and I know what came after it. Gabby Petito was alive on the 12th of August. She was standing on the side of a road in Utah with a mark on her cheek and tears she couldn't stop. And the people whose job it was to make a different decision made the one they made. There was also something found inside the Laundrie family home. A letter titled, "Burn After Reading." In it, Brian's mother wrote to her son, "If you need to dispose of a body, I will show up with a shovel and garbage bags." While Nicole Schmidt was spending 10 days calling her daughter's number and telling herself there had to be an explanation, the people who knew the truth were sitting in a house in Northport, Florida, with a lawyer already retained, saying nothing. Is it not a strange and devastating thing that the people with the answers were the last ones anyone could reach? Gabby's family did not accept that. They filed a civil lawsuit against the Moab City Police Department, arguing that the officers' failure to apply the law properly on the 12th of August contributed directly to her death. That case ended in a settlement. The terms were never made public. They also filed a civil lawsuit against Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, alleging the Laundries knew their son had killed Gabby before he ever walked back through their front door, and said nothing. Nicole Schmidt was still calling her daughter's phone while the people who had the answers sat in silence. Gabby Petito was cremated after her memorial service. A public funeral was held in Holbrook in September 2021. In the months that followed, her 4 parents, Joe Petito, Nicole Schmidt, stepmother Tara Petito, and stepfather Jim Schmidt, established the Gabby Petito Foundation. Its mission was to work alongside organizations on the front lines of domestic violence prevention and to make sure that Gabby's story was not just a headline. Nicole Schmidt told NBC News, "We got a lot of messages and emails from people saying, 'Your daughter saved my life. I left because of her. She's doing more work now than she could ever do on this earth. We're really proud of her, and I hope she's really proud of us.'" Joe Petito posted simply, "She touched the world." Gabby Petito wanted to show people places they had never seen. She wanted to build something real out of a converted van and a camera, and a life lived in motion. She had a fiancé, a plan, a channel, a future. She was 22 years old, and she deserved every single day of it. If you are in a relationship where something feels wrong, where the arguments happen too often, where you find yourself explaining away things you shouldn't have to explain, where you feel watched or managed or afraid, please talk to someone. A friend, a family member, a domestic violence support line. Not because something has definitely happened yet, but because Gabby's story tells us, clearly and without any ambiguity, that these things rarely stay the same. They escalate, And the time to reach out is before the escalation, not after. You are not alone. Help exists. If this video stayed with you, and I believe it will, share it with one person who might need to see it, one person who might recognize something in Gabby's story that they need to act on. That is the most important thing you can do after watching this. And if you want to be here for every story we tell, because there will always be another one, and every one of them will be told with the same care and the same respect you saw here today, then subscribe now. This channel exists for exactly this, for the people who deserved more than a headline, for the stories that need to be told properly. Gabby touched the world. Make sure the world remembers her name. I'll see you in the next one.